Kennedy is going to want to time his removal spells. So Quinn Kennedy on your left-hand side, we've seen on camera a few times. Greg Galloway, I believe we had on once during the
Just once, yes. He played against a blue, white, red mid-range deck, and
beat the snot out of it.
Yeah, just obliterated him.
The game's not even remotely close.
No, not whatsoever. So it'll be interesting. I definitely think that, you know, if you're trying to pick a favorite before the match begins, I say that Black Red Zombies is favored here, but it's certainly possible for Infect to win. I mean, I'm sure that Greg has probably been one zombie player along the way through the Swiss. I mean, 9 rounds, you're likely to play at least one zombie player. So.
Yep. Also worth noting is that Galloway has one main deck Spellskite, which is also a potential huge card to draw in this matchup as well.
Yes.
So a couple of his kind of funky one-ups could come into play here. He also has a Singleton Sun Petal Grove, with which he can, I suppose, alleviate the Phyrexian mana requirements on Apostle's Blessing.
That's what it looks to be there for.
I would suspect that's supposed to be a 4th Cathedral War or a 15th Forest. I'm no expert on these matters, but unless he just wants to show off his rares.
You'd have to ask the man himself.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't predict the future.
Maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll get our shot. Who knows? Only 4 competitors left, like we said. Travis Wu and Red Alawar on the other side of the bracket, and that's the Green Summer versus Zombies matchup. So we've been talking this weekend about, you know, we've covered all these birthing pod matchups where people were bringing in the Celestial Purges and the, you know, other anti-zombies cards, and you were saying, you know, zombies is this type of deck where if you're prepared for it, you know, if you devote the slots to it, you're going to have a good matchup. And it definitely seemed like, on the whole, at least the matches that we covered, the weekend was prepared. And yet here we are with, you know, 2 more zombie lists. I believe we had 3 in the top 8 and now 2 in the semifinals.
Yes, yes.
Because Galloway goes back for a mulligan here.
It's interesting. Like I'm not entirely convinced that zombies can fight through, you know, a ton of hate, but at the same time, like, we have 2 zombie decks, as you said, in the semifinals, potentially having, you know, a finals matchup Black Red Zombies versus Zombie Pod. So, you know, it could be a case of just a lot of numbers. You know, and with so many people playing zombies, it's bound to get through. Kind of a thing that you had with Blue White Delver in the past. Or it could just be that people are still kind of skimping on the hate. Some of the people that we featured had a lot of hate, but that doesn't mean that everyone did.
Sure. Well, the difference also is that, like, the hate against zombies is so much more explicit than the hate against Delver, like Celestial Purge and Knight and all those kind of cards. Delver doesn't have any obvious, like, yep, this card definitely makes your Delver matchup significantly better. If you draw a bunch of these, you're going to be in a good position. Doesn't quite work the same way.
Looks like Galloway's going to keep it 6 and leads off with an Inkmoth Nexus to begin the day. We're likely going to see a 1-drop here from Quinn.
I believe he's holding up Tragic Slip instead of playing his 1-drop.
Okay. We're just going to see...
And there's an Ichor
Claw Mirror. And that is going to have a Tragic Slip. I do see a Mortarpod in Quinn's hand as well.
Yeah, he's got a Mortarpod and a Brimstone Volley, so no shortage of removal.
Well, we're going to get the Germ token out momentarily and kick it back to Greg. It looks like he just drew a Wild Defiance.
Yep. Wild Defiance can do a lot of work in this matchup, shutting out some of the targeted removal, or at least making it a whole lot riskier. Although Mortarpod, you know, obviously does a pretty good job of checking.
Yeah, I mean, Mortarpod will do a nice job of, again, checking the Inkmoth Nexus for now, but if he does have a pump spell, he can really get moving here as we see Quinn kind of unload his hand now. In Greg's hand, we see a live wire lash. There's a Titanic Growth hiding in there. Also a Green Sun Zenith, and it looks like a Blight Mamba as well.
Yep. So with another, if he draws another land, he can Green Zenith for. Oh, he does not have. Oh, he does have a Viridian Corruptor. Yeah. So you can Zenith for that. Get the Mortarpod off the table, and then he has a lot more flexibility in how he wants to plan out how he eventually goes for the kill here. So I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, he did draw the 4th land this turn. He very quickly tapped off 4 of his mana. So Green Sun Zenith for 3. Looks like it's going to be the Viridian Corruptor to take care of the Mortarpod, as you said, Patrick.
So now the Nexus becomes a super serious threat.
Yes.
Between that and Wild Defiance, it doesn't take a lot for that to be just lethal.
And also, Viridian Corruptor can, in a pinch, do a nice job of taking care of that diagraph goal to slow down the clock too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So I assume we're gonna shoot Galloway for 1 there with the germ token on the way out.
It's going to push Galloway down to 15. Now, the only thing about Quinn's start, and Quinn's start was definitely good with the tragic slip on the Ichor Claw Mirror, and then the Mortarpod to kind of blank the Inkmoth Nexus temporarily, is that Galloway is still at a relatively high life total. He has a blocker now if he wants to trade for the Diagraph Ghoul, so he's not really under a ton of pressure.
He also has a Blight Mamba also still left in his hand that can be on blocking detail. A subtle thing that happened there was Kennedy.
We're going to see a Brimstone Volley take care of the Viridian Corruptor.
And that was able to go for 5, which was exactly the amount needed to kill it over the top of Wall Defiance.
That is true.
But I believe that if Kennedy left up, I think he might have left up Tragic Slip mana instead of playing a 1-drop. Because Galloway let off with a Nexus, and so the theory is, if he gets to tag the Nexus on turn 2, that's obviously some pretty huge upside. But I think he would have been better served just casting his guys and then leaving the slip up.
Yeah, kind of pressuring him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see Falconwrath Aristocrat.
Now the question is he going to hold back on D, or is he going to hold the Aristocrat back on D, or is he going to
jam on in?
Yeah. Because you can just die from 0 here.
Yes, we know he has a Titanic Growth, and so if he has Titanic right now, plus Mutagenic would actually just finish it off, or Gut Shot would finish it off as well. So
or Blessing, no, he's short for Blessing, but yeah.
There are definitely cards here that can just end the game on the spot.
So yeah, he's going to play a conservative.
And I like the conservative play. There's really no reason to move in with it. In my opinion, I think he can just hold steady.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Let's also, just so everyone's aware, we are still giving out 6 free months and a year of premium throughout the semifinals and finals here. We're going to have a trivia question after this first game that I suppose I will cook up this time.
Oh, you'll take the burden?
Yeah, I will.
Very nice of you.
I will bear that cross, and then we'll give out 6 free months of premium at the end of this match, and then after the finals. We'll be doing the same thing for a year of premium.
Indeed.
All right.
So we're likely just going to see the 2 threats hit play this turn is my best guess. At least Blight Mamba, potentially Ichor Claw Mirror that he's drawn.
Yep.
Just to have a little bit of blockers in play, slow down Quinn a little bit, and then hopefully counterattack and be able to kill him.
Although, again, this is not Galloway sitting on 2 copies of Sign and Blood, so I believe he's trying to actually get him in range, which he actually has on board, assuming Galloway doesn't block. But, okay, I think it looks like he's just firing it off on himself here.
Looks like...
Is that a Brimstone Volley?
It did look like a Brimstone Volley to me. A Brimstone Volley in a swamp.
Yeah. Yeah, this is awkward because you want to finish the game as fast as you possibly can, but you also don't want to get punked out of what appears to be a winning state, which makes how Kennedy wants to attack a little awkward. I mean, Gravecrawler for sure ships in, but then, there's arguments for being back on D for your 2 other guys, or 1 guy and not the other, or just alpha striking,
Yeah, there can be an argument everywhere. I think the only obvious thing to do this turn is attack with Gravecrawler, simply because he can't block.
Yeah. That one's on the house.
Yes. Free of charge.
Trivia question.
Okay, so in with Aristocrat, in with Gravecrawler. We do know that Quinn did draw Brimstone Volley, so this attack is rather safe.
Yes. Although if you're going to send, this is what I don't like, I think, is if you're going to send for not lethal, then I'm pretty sure you should leave the Aristocrat back. Although I guess if this attack hits him to 5, then yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if this attack if
if it hits
him,
then you have Aristocrat plus more bid trigger. You can just sack out and kill him.
And Brimstone Volume, yeah. So this attack, if Greg opts not to block, he's actually just going to die.
Yeah, but if he does block, if he's playing around that scenario and he does block, then things become potentially very, like, now we're actually in a danger spot, right? Because he might be able to just kill you with the Nexus.
Well, he has a volley in his hand.
Right, but Galloway can definitely cobble together a hand that can kill him from here.
Just trying to think of what he would draw to be able to take care of that.
I mean, I guess if you literally just sandbag your,
He draws a forest this turn, which is not going to be the card that he's looking for. He's going to be equipping a live wire lash, I think, over the Acre Claw Mirror.
okay, so trying to equip here. Live wire lash goes on, and we attack.
I'd be relatively surprised if Quinn doesn't block here with this Diregraph Ghoul.
Yeah. Again, the risk here is pretty low. Now that he's down to one card in hand. Oh, it does make leaving the Diregraph Ghoul back on defense questionable, because if Galloway doesn't block it, then you just have lethal. And the downside is, like, well, he just chump blocks with his Ichor Claw Mirror, which is also fine.
Sure. So that's going to die. Now we have Inkmoth Nexus as a blocker. He's going to Morbid upstairs. Okay, so he's going to put him in 2, and then he has a Sign in Blood to finish him. Sure. Targets you.
And that should do it.
That does do it. So Quinn Quinity up a game with his Black-Red Zombies deck, excuse me, against Mono Green Infect. Looking at, we'll actually go over the sideboards in just a minute. I think we're going to cut back to us for the trivia giveaway, which, Patrick, you are in charge of, my friend.
So in Greg Galloway's list of Infect, can you name the singleton non-basic land here that's used to facilitate Apostle's Blessing that was not seen in other Infect lists this weekend? Name that land.
And what does that get you if you name that land?
6th, half a year.
Half a year.
A half dozen.
That's like
other units of measurement of Star City Games premium content, articles and videos by people like Patrick Chapin, Brian Kibler,
Patrick Sullivan, some of your finer work.
Yeah, maybe.
If they're lucky.
If I'm so motivated, yeah. Sam Black, Brad Nelson,
we can't forget Jerry Thompson.
Yeah.
Matthew Costa.
Yes.
Up and comer.
Yep. A young buck. So make sure to tweet your answer to at SCG Premium.
Correct.
For your opportunity to win 6 free months of Star City Games Premium.
And the question again.
Can you name the singleton non-basic land in Greg Galloway's Infect list?
That has helped to facilitate Apostle's Blessing. Not really seen.
Well, he also he only has one non-basic land in his list, so that question actually is sufficient to narrow it down to the correct answer.
Sure.
I sort of went on about it earlier, but that's actually not necessary for the purposes of presenting the trivia question.
That is correct. I don't want there to be any confusion for our viewers at home.
Yes. So, onto the sideboard. Let's take a look at what's going on. Now, Galloway has the option, and I assume he's going to take it, to cap out on his copies of Spellskite. He has 1 in the main, and then he has 3 more in the sideboard.
Okay.
So I assume that's going to be happening. The rest of his sideboard is basically, he has 2 Viridian Corruptor plus 2 Zenith, which I don't think we're going to be seeing that package. And then he has, some singleton Zenith targets plus a couple spells. I assume we're going to be bringing in, the 3rd copy of Apostle's Blessing, another Gut Shot could be on the table, another Mental Misstep. All reasonable cards to sideboard in.
On my side, I have Quinn's deck list in front of me. I see a...
And now they have their deck list in front of one another.
Yes. So there will be no tricks
yep.
Here for either one of them. But I have a Doomblade that is likely to come in along with two smelt being able to take care of the Ichor mirrors, the live wire lashes, and the ink moth neck's eye, and potentially Liliana the Veil, but I would be surprised if we boarded that in on the draw. And I mean, I see Pillar of Flame, but I don't think it's better than any of his other removal, just because it's a sorcery versus the ton of instant speed removal and mortar pods that he has. So I think Pillar of Flame will stay in the sideboard. The two smelts and the Doomblade are the most obvious to me, and probably are going to be the best cards that he can board in.
I actually like Liliana. I think he has enough cards that aren't particularly good that he could take out. Where I would want Liliana here if I had him in my sideboard, even on the draw. Like I would rather have them than like Blood Artist or Metamorph.
Okay.
So that's 6 slots, and I think you have 2 smelts, a Doomblade, 2 Lilianas. Maybe you find room for a Pillar over one of your. Like I would be happy to cut a Brimstone Volley to get another cheaper removal spell in the deck.
Okay.
So if I was in Kennedy's position, I would bring in Liliana here because I think he has enough bad stuff to sideboard out. But I'm not actually. We can't actually see how he's sideboarding, so I don't know if that's happening.
I mean, there's also merit to the Scarce deck High Priest in his sideboard as well, just because like something is going to die. Having a 5/5 flyer be put into play as a blocker against like Inkmoth Nexus or Ichor Clawmere is actually also reasonable. It's a little bit more difficult to get active, but it's not out of the question that it can be done.
Yes.
So.
And you already have to take kind of a defensive posture in the matchup anyway. Like you need to be leaving your guys back on defense. So the High Priest sort of fits in naturally to what you're doing anyway. You don't have the should I be attacking or using the High Priest tension because you're often just back on defense with all your guys anyway.
Yeah, and you can basically get them into a situation where an attack like has you chumping, but your chumping is like turning your like 2/2 Diregraph Ghoul into a 5/5 demon. So
right.
Not saying it's perfect, not saying it's ideal, but it's definitely possible.
So what do you have a bit of experience playing the Infect deck? What do you not like in this matchup? Because for me, it's like, having not played the deck a ton, not knowing the nuances very well, all these cards seem like okay. Like I'm not sure, what are the ones that are, marginally worse than other cards in the deck.
I mean, in this particular matchup, Gutshot and Mental Misstep isn't particularly where you want to be. Mental Misstep is traditionally just the card that it's there to counter as Tragic Slip. It's also helpful to be able to counter a Fume Spitter as well. But Gutshot's not really a particular spot where you'd like to be. Ranger's Guile is okay. It's not great. It's obviously great. It's much better in combination with Wild Defiance. But if I was looking for cards to sideboard out right away, those would be the first two. Radiant Corruptor as well is not great. He has Mortar Pod, but he only has 2, and they have the deck list, so they know that. So I think those are the first places that I would go. So see Cathedral of War drawn for Greg,
and to go along with his Nexus. I know he has at least a Mortar Pod in his hand.
Can't tell if Quinn has the red mana in this game or not. It would likely be in play if he had it, I suppose.
Just saying go again. Trying to, I guess, trap Galloway into wanting to attack with his Nexus. Okay. Now we're going to get to see how this plays out.
We have Doomblade. We have Apostle's Blessing.
Okay. So that's a 2-spot. See, this is the reason I would much rather just play my cards out and then be able to use your removal all in one turn, because he sort of stunted his development by doing this, and Galloway got to pretty much curve perfectly with his Blessing.
Yeah.
He had nothing to do with that mana anyway.
We're going to see Mortar Pod here now from Quinn Kennedy. I agree with you for the most part. I mean, we're going to see a Gutshot on the token. And that'll be going upstairs, dealing Greg a total of 3 points of damage this turn.
Yep. I actually like doing it there, even though the standard philosophy is like, just untap, you get more information, whatever. The fact that if he were to Gutshot on his own turn, it would turn Tragic Slip into Morbid, which might mean if he has a Pump Spell or something, that Galloway wouldn't even be able to protect it from a Morbid Tragic Slip. But by doing it now, the Tragic Slip's only for -1/-1.
Gotcha.
So people definitely have this instinct of like, well, why just get more information? Just wait, with things like Gutshot. But there are some times where triggering Morbid as a consideration, and it certainly was that turn. Kennedy has just drawn Cavern of Souls, which does not facilitate any of his red spells, but at least can allow him to cast an Aristocrat. He's going to start the turn off with a Sign in Blood. And he found a Dragon Skull Summit, rather. So now his hand presumably is on.
Also another Sign in Blood in his hand as well. I can see at least one red card, potentially two. Another Inkmoth Nexus drawn for Greg Galloway this turn. And it looks like this is going to be another turn of activating. Now he's going to equip his Live Wire Lash. But we have a Smelt. Inkmoth Nexus, but that's okay because we have one to replace it with.
We got to back up. Since that turn he was, I believe Kennedy was pretty clearly sitting on removal. I would have probably been more inclined just to Zenith for a Corruptor if it was still in the deck, then try to go make a move there with the Nexus.
Yeah, I'm not really against that.
Just Sign in Blood pass with 2 up is sort of like
kind of dubious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something's probably
my radar is.
So we'll see Mortarpod get equipped here to Dross Messenger, which is a combo, as they say.
Yeah, it's a combo. It's a combo deck.
And we're gonna see. It looks like green's on Zenith for 3.
It looks like his hand is actually just lands.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me as well. And he is gonna have to shuffle that Zenith back in. So hopefully the table judge is able to mention that. He's gonna throw that at him.
Mm-hmm. So that's a 3-ball. 1 for the pod, and then 2 more for the messenger coming back into play.
Correct. And there we go. Zenith is now back into his deck.
So you think that he shoots there just because it's very likely that the counters come off later anyway? The counter comes off later anyway, just by getting into combat with infect creatures.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the sacrificing with the Mortarpod to shoot dragons like kind of a free roll, really. Yeah. Deal you a point of damage, then drain you for 2, and my messenger gets bigger, and like if you ever have to block it, it's just gonna get the counter removed. It's just like all upside, I think. As we'll see what Quinn draws this turn. Looks like a Tragic Slip. Yep. So likely to attack with the messenger here.
Yeah, the big question is does he have anything to protect himself from the Nexus?
Yeah, that really is the big question.
Yeah, and then how does he maximize that?
Because I mean, Quinn, even though it doesn't really feel like Greg has done much this game, Quinn does have 4 infect counters on him, so he only has 6 to go. And with an Inkmoth Nexus plus a Cathedral, that's okay. 2 more. And we're gonna see the boys move in here.
So this is 8 coming in. And
he's
I think that
he's not played a land yet.
I think he has land plus Sign in Blood left over in his hand.
Yep.
So this seems pretty good and wrapped up for Kennedy. It's hard to imagine too much going wrong here.
Sign in Blood really playing a big role in this match, honestly. You know, helping to smooth his draws, helping him find his removal, which is cheap to begin with, and then helping to end games. It ended the last game. It's potentially going to end this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, the life total is obviously a free roll here, right? So
yes.
Would you play black, draw 2 cards in a million decks?
Yeah, in every deck, yes.
Yeah, and that's effectively what it is here. So Galloway's hand is just 2 forests, so he's in this squeeze where he can't afford to block and he can't afford to not block.
Yeah.
Looks like he fell to 2.
Okay, and he just doesn't have the land. But
oh, okay.
One thing that Spellskite can't redirect.
Sign in Blood.
Sign in Blood.
And he still has sack my messenger to Aristocrat, and then Tragic Slip is now minus 13 as insurance against
whatever could occur.
Right.
Yeah. We've seen equipped with the Live Wire Lash here. And he's going to do exactly that, Patrick. He's going to sacrifice the messenger to the Aristocrat, turn on the Morbid Tragic Slip. which which I assume is in the attack stat. Potentially.
Well, you want to do it in response to
sure.
equip, right?
What's this?
So now he has to just leave his aristocrat back on D here. Or sorry, the Nexus rather is back on D now. And now I guess we're debating about what spells go here, or
I mean, realistically, no reason not to play it, but he's just going to say go, I believe. Maybe checking the graveyard. As the judge is pointing out that Greg looks to have played a second land that turn. He played a force pre-combat when he was trying to equip, and then accidentally played a second one. So
yeah, it doesn't seem dodgy to me because it's not like enabling a play that he still has 4 mana to spell Skype plus activate Nexus or.
Then we're just going to see Sign in Blood upstairs yet again to end the game. That's going to do it. Quinn Kennedy with Black Red Zombies moves on to the finals, defeating Greg Galloway in his Mono Green Infect deck, which is, I think we consider a pretty good matchup for Quinn Kennedy.
Yeah, so. and certainly that second game, Galloway's draw was quite poor.